A new snowblower, huh, Nancy? If those of you watching on social media, you see the comments flying up. Nancy got her husband a new snowblower. Will you be able to use it? We'll talk about that coming up. Hope everyone's doing well. Wave meteorologist Brian Good. Happy Friday. I saw the battle of the Seans there on whether or not you want more snow. I'll let the Seans sort it out on that idea. Obviously, we're going to discuss that, the outlook into the longer term, and then we'll get it's a mix of good news and some not really bad news. It's just kind of questionable setup down the road. It's a bit complex. It's already giving me a headache, but we'll discuss it because that's what we do here in the blog. We discuss these things, and I give you guys a chance to see what we're looking at behind the scenes versus just seeing the 10-day always fly up. And you may not have a lot of context to it. I'll try to give you context now that I have plenty of time to do that. All right, so I hope you guys are ready for the weekend. I know it feels like it's just been a long few weeks, right? This is really the first big change is this weekend that's going to be taking place to allow us to get a nice little thaw. And the snow mountains are not going anywhere. You guys know that. It's going to take a while. But watch those snow mountains because they are melting as we're thawing out this weekend and then refreezing again at night. So they will spill out in some of the roadways, parking lots, even your driveway. So those patches of ice could still catch you off guard. They'll be slow to melt just because the cold layer, again, right at the ground level is tough to erode away. But that will happen as we head into this weekend and certainly as we head into next week. All right, guys, you ready? Let's go. Let's dive into it. All right, the snowboard, well, not exactly a snow lover's dream, although I feel like a lot of the snow haters right now are like, hey, you snow lovers have had enough. You've had your 15 inches for the season. You're done. And that is above normal. So whatever happens from here on out, it doesn't matter. It's an above normal season in snowfall for Louisville. So anything else is the way I consider it. Anything else is really bonus type of snow. But we do have chances. Now, it's getting more complex, as you should know from watching the blog. We've talked about how as we enter February, we're going to get more of these warm thaws kind of mixed into this. So it is going to be a bit more complex. So now we're going to talk about different precip types instead of just plain snow, which is not fun at all. And this upcoming weekend, the next weekend, I should say, let me correct myself, next weekend, there is a chance for one of these waves, because there's two different storms that I'm seeing right now that are showing up for the weekend window. And one of them may have something frozen in the onset, so we'll watch that. And once we get just beyond Groundhog Day into the first full week there, February, that's where it's a setup to watch, and I'll explain why, but I can't really get more specific than that on the snowboard for right now. All right, we'll monitor that. But I don't think we're done with the snow for the season at all. And I don't think we're done, obviously, with the cold, but extreme cold as of late. I do think that is over. It's going to be really tough to get those really brutal Arctic outbreaks. It doesn't happen very often. So I think it's unlikely to get that kind of level of cold. But you don't need that level to get big winter storms. You only need it to be in the 30s. And right about 30 to 32. Boy, you get your big wet snows this time of the year coming up as you get into that kind of a temperature profile. So there's still plenty of watching and model watching. And for snow lovers, there's plenty of time for you. So if for those that want winter to be over with, hey, I do think, again, there's going to be some thawing here. We're going to get some warm spells mixed in. So I'm hoping we can make everyone happy as we evolve the next few weeks. This morning, cold for sure. We don't have those ice flows on the Ohio anymore. Those are gone. We've had a few flurries around. I was on the air this morning in the weather garden, and there were very detailed flakes. So it was really great for if there's such a thing as snowflake catching. I don't know if it's exciting as storm chasing. It should be. Anyway, they were falling, and they fall on your coat, your glove. You can actually see all the details of a snowflake the way these were. They were falling so slow. I feel like I just watched one forever, just taking its sweet time, falling from the sky, kind of like the animation here behind me. But very pretty snow. Not enough to cause any problems or anything, but those flurries are gone now, at least for Louisville. But those of you to the south still have a chance to see some. I'll show you in a second. All right, it's 20 in Louisville. We dropped to 16 this morning. It's currently 16 in Fort Knox. We've got 10 right now in Tell City. Wind chill. It's been cold as 9 above here in Louisville. Right now it feels like a lovely 12. 8 is the feels like temperature E-Town, Fort Knox. and 10 into Tell City. Here's the thing, though. A lot of these sensors you see that look very close to the actual temperature is because they can't register a wind chill. So I'm sure it's a lot colder on the wind chill than what you see here. It's just that the sensor can't display that value. I know it's frustrating. We feel it, but that's just the way it is. So I usually point out the ones that I know are actual wind chills, and it's pretty obvious the ones that are all the ones that are in the single digits and very lower teens. Okay, so what's the game plan here for the rest of the day? Well, the flurries we had this morning are gone, but now we got this. It's really the second clipper that we were talking about earlier this week, that it was a 1-2 punch on clippers. This is really the second one in a very compressed way that is moving across Nashville, just scooting across our southern county. Some of you have a chance, though, to get a little burst of snow if you're south and east of the parkways. Right now, it seems to be lining up near Horse Cave, Kentucky, Munfordville area, Hart County, Greene County, and Taylor. You've had a few flurries in Taylor, but majority of the snow bands have been taking a while because dry air is eating a lot of this. But Adair County, hey, you guys are in a good spot to get some snow showers. Notice some of the darker blues. Now, this is from the radar in Nashville, and it does pick up on some of this. I believe this is going to be not far from Cumberland County, Monroe County area. I'm trying to think, Barron County as well. We'll have some of those bursts of snow showers, maybe a quick dusting, but it can make for slick spots. So is anyone in this area? I can't remember if we have anyone. Are you guys still fighting over here? So I just now see the chat, and I see everyone going back and forth. You guys behave. Okay, so I'll get to your questions, I promise, at the end here. I'm seeing them. If you want to be on social media to ask your question, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch even, and even YouTube. That's where you can type and send a question. If you're watching on streaming, unfortunately, you're not able to see these pop up, but I'll try to read them out to you. But is anyone down there? Looks like no. Okay, well, if anyone is, just let me know, and we'll and I appreciate any reports if you're getting some of those snow showers there. Again, far southern areas of Kentucky. But that's really it. It's fairly quiet, just cold, right? In the Ohio River Valley. Hey, they got rain back into the Gulf Coast. They are getting ready for the extended outlook. Quite a few 70s. Don't make fun of my drawing here. 70s are coming in areas that have had nearly 8 to 10 inches of snow on the Gulf Coast. Why can't we do that? That would be nice sometimes, get those nice little jumps. It would feel like, I'm sure, 100 to them having a jump like that. But that is where we stand on at least the snow chance today. It's fading out. Now we're going to enter a long stretch here of really dry weather for us and the thaw period before we get active again. Now, speaking of the Gulf Coast, I'm sure you guys, of course, remember the snowstorm and how it impacted I-10. Well, that same piece of energy left Florida and the Carolinas, traveled over the Atlantic Ocean, and has continued into United Kingdom. And this has been a big story. It created what they call this bomb cyclone. I'm sure you've heard that terminology on social media. Moving through the United Kingdom right now, it is happening. And it's the same energy that was the Gulf Coast winter storm. And because that was such an anomaly, this has led to another anomaly is set up into this area where they basically have a Cat 3 hurricane, but a cold system, right? It's not a warm system, so it's not a hurricane, but it's the same effect of a hurricane, of a Cat 3, in a very widespread fashion from Ireland all the way into, London, even dealing with this, in Scotland. The west coast of Ireland, not long ago, recorded at 114 miles per hour, which was the strongest ever they've recorded. So we get big storms like this often once you get into United Kingdom. It's not unusual to get these North Atlantic systems to roll in. But to get to this level, yeah, this one's for the books for that area. So we're thinking of them. It's quite a mess in this area. What a wild setup. The globe itself is just facing a lot of extremes, a big blocking pattern, and that has led to the fires out west because they can't get any rain because the jet stream just isn't buckling at all. And it's led to the cold Arctic attacks here and then the unusual snow event and now this mess. But the jet is starting to change here, as you're about to see here coming up in just a few minutes. So we'll see what other little sneaky things are coming down the road, right? Okay, so here's the short-term outlook. We're back over to wave country. And again, we're going to see this be a relatively pretty day, but cold today. We're just not going to get above freezing. Tonight, I do think we'll have a relatively quick drop in temperature this evening, but once we get to about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, the thermometer actually will rise towards sunrise tomorrow. It won't be above freezing, but you should notice the degrees on your home thermometer going up when you wake up in the morning, and that will then lead to the day into the 40s tomorrow. This particular model says 41. I think we'll be overachieving as we typically do in these scenarios, and we're still going to go with mid 40s here into Louisville, maybe lower 40s outside the city. So I don't want to split hairs on this, but we're all going to be above freezing, and it will feel perhaps not like the 70s in the Gulf Coast, but it will feel great. Yesterday's 40 wasn't bad. The wind was the only thing that was annoying, right? That wind chill. And it will be breezy tomorrow, all right? But we're going to get some hazy sunshine, and we'll get into the 40s, and again, more melting. If you still have snow patches in your yard, which is likely what it is now, it's just patches you have, that will likely be taken away by this wave of warmth coming our way. Quiet Saturday night. Now, Sunday, that wave we were tracking as it moves across areas around, say, Arkansas into Tennessee, it's still not able to generate a decent low pressure. It's getting sheared out as it moves across the Ohio Valley. But you can tell that there's the freezing line moving back in the area. So we're going to get colder on Sunday. We're going to have more clouds around. Can't rule out flurries possibly in southern Kentucky. Right now, I think Nashville would have like a 10% chance. We added a 10% chance, or at least adjusted it for you guys in, near the parkways to account for maybe a flurry or two that could move in with this little wave. But I don't think it's anything big at all. Just want to stress that because all the data is not in agreement, or is in agreement, I should say, on this being a non-issue. That was a flip of words, wasn't it? So Sunday is going to be certainly chillier, but still above freezing. It's just going to be a chilly day on Sunday there. Once we get into Monday, we'll have a chance to get back to some sunshine, and then we'll begin to get some milder weather coming back into play. All right, so there you go. I mean, a very quiet setup here for the weekend. Nothing major at all that will be coming our way. All right, now we need to discuss how the long term is going to play out. But before I do that, I need to take just a quick break. Hey, we got to pay the electric bill, guys, and the gas bill. Take a quick small break. For those of you on streaming, you'll see the break. Everyone else, just hang tight. I'll be back in just 30 seconds. Hang tight. All right, we're back now. Sorry about that. Hey, we got to pay these bills. Okay, so here we go. Several things we need to discuss on the longer term side of things, and that's where we're going to get into the setup as we evolve into next week, especially the latter half of next week. So let's start with the latest thinking on how the early week portion will play out. And the two pieces of the storyline are still the same. We've got very cold Arctic air that is pushing in across areas of the Great Lakes into the Northeast. It's a strong northwest flow, in fact, and that is going to allow for very cold air in that area of the country. That is going to be the focus, really, of the brutal cold. Next week will be located in the Great Lakes and New England. Meanwhile, we're going to have the faster jets moving across the southern tier of the country. That is going to keep allowing for systems to try to roll out from Texas. Now, the first couple will likely get sheared out. One on Sunday is an example of that. That won't be able to make it here. So we're going to be able to stay quiet for a couple of days. Usually split flows like this, we do well. We stay sometimes fairly dry in this type of setup. So I think we're going to get into the 40s on Monday. I think we have a good chance to cross over 50 as we head into Tuesday. And I'm going to be optimistic on Wednesday and say, yes, that we're going to get at least another chance to get a little bit of warmth there on Wednesday. We got 55 in on Wednesday, but it comes with a big asterisk here because there is a chance, it was what we call a backdoor cold front, that will try to push down as we head into either late Wednesday or Thursday to allow for a drop in temperature that will take place. Now, this is important. This drop that happens for the end of the week with the backdoor cold front would then allow for colder air to sink back in the area, but then the system in Texas says, okay, I'm now going to arrive. I'm going to roll on out. And this is where the models disagree. This is the Euro that you're looking at. GFS is a bit faster here on this, but it wants to roll the system out as we head into Friday. But the problem is, will we have still the cold air lingering in the Ohio River Valley when that's trying to happen? If so, this is where that mix onset precept comes into play. And that could be sometimes sleet, sometimes it could be freezing rain. And sometimes you are just able to warm up enough to where it's a cold rain, but you're out of the danger zone and you're fine, which will happen. We will be warming up. I don't doubt that. So that's the easy part, but it's the first few hours of the system will be crucial. And it really just depends, guys, on how fast it gets here. If it's slow, nothing to worry about. But if it gets here faster, and certainly with that front diving in, then we may have a little more of an issue, and that may be Friday morning that we'd have to watch. But right now, it's a very low confidence setup on that one. But this is system number one. Remember, there's two that I talked about. So number one is going to roll on out with a wave of rainfall. This is going to bring in a slug of warm air again. So guess what? We're going to jump back up again. Head into especially Saturday, possibly even Sunday, with a round of rain coming into play. Some of the modeling is trying to push, especially those of you into central and southern Kentucky, it's trying to push you into 60s next weekend with this slug of heavy rain. So it won't be a pretty setup for the weekend with 60-degree weather. It would be rain, but it does bring in a slug of warmth. So the only thing on the frozen side right now is a concern is only when it arrives. Otherwise, it's rain. There's even a chance of thunderstorms with some of this moving through. But again, they vary a bit on the timing on when this will move on by. But as it moves into the area, number one does, what it's doing, it's a very common thing we see here, is it's allowing them for a drop in temperature, which means number two is waiting for it. And it wants to go east, but it won't be able to because this one's in the way. So it'll have no choice but to go down to the south and then cut back up again. Now, that's a big issue. If that happens, it will then be able to take advantage of a colder setup into the Ohio Valley. It just depends on how fast it wants to chase number one. I hope this all makes sense. It's like a game here, right? It's basically watching a cartoon. If that rolls in, that one could have a wintry component to it. The Euro stops at this point. But if it were to advance a few more frames, it would show a backlash snow into the Ohio Valley, and that would again put us into the first week there of February. So it looks to still be a 1-2 punch. That is a very common theme. There's only a couple of models. I believe the Canadian is one that really had them spaced out apart between number one and number two. If they are spaced out, number two will likely be another rain event. But again, if they're right on its heels, if number two is just flat on in, we should just name number two. No offense to number one, but we should name number two. Anyway, it moves into the area. As it does so, it could get it's still into the colder setup from the previous one, and that's where we could run into some problems. So it's very complex in the extended, but it does make sense of what we're going into and in terms of a pattern. Here is the overall look at the North Pole. You're looking at the globe from up above. We're over here, way down here. One thing that's noted, we're going to have a faster jets. All right, again, we're breaking down what's happening in the Pacific to allow for systems to roll in faster now. They're coming in quick. Sometimes spaced out, maybe 40 to 48 hours apart, but it's one right after another. And if they move fast enough, they won't be able to grab the cold air, but if they move just slow enough, in some cases, they can certainly pull down these batches of cold that are still up there into Canada and lead to big systems. So my gut feeling on this is that as we head into February, we're going to have more winter storms moving across the country, but they're going to be larger. They're not going to be as focused on just certain parts of the country. These are going to be fairly large systems moving in the lower 48. So they'll have all components to them. They'll have the severe weather on the southern side, the heavy rain right in the middle of the track of the low, and then you're going to have your what we call the deformation zone, where you're going to get snow on the northern and the north side, especially backlash snow. It's just all a matter of the storm track, and how they are spaced out will determine what we will see. So I can't really give you more specifics as far as what we would get out of this, but I tell you what, if you want to get a wild setup when it comes to all different types of weather, this has got the look for that. And it's going to be busy. So I would enjoy this quiet stretch that we're about to get into. It will likely be one of the longer stretches of dry weather we're going to get before we get really busy out. All right, let me show you the 10-day. I know that was a lot to digest, but it's a Friday, so I try to overload you guys before I leave as usual. You can see the temperatures again today in the 20s. Today is the coldest. And then here we go. Warming up, 46. Yeah, that drop on Sunday. And then, I'm trying to get the glass half full. I'll hold on to Wednesday as long as I possibly can for you all. But you got to keep in mind, if that backdoor front moves in too fast, yeah, that 55 is not going to happen. Anyway, it does certainly drop, I think, on Thursday. And then we'll just have to wait and see what these different systems. I did account for the jump up on Saturday. I didn't go 60s, obviously, but I did account for a jump up. I think that is likely. I just don't know how much of a warm surge it will be. And then we'll see what happens on the backside of the system from there. Okay, there you go. Everyone excited about that? Yes or no? Let's see. Sean, any severe potential of these storms? Yes, there will be that potential. There is no outlook for severe weather with our current pattern right now. But as we evolve into this active storm track, yes, that will be on the table. But that's sort of expected as we get into February. It's certainly obviously in March, but it's not unheard of in February. But I do think that will be more on the table than it has. But January's has been too cold, way too suppressed of a storm track. You don't get your severe weather in that kind of a setup at all. But that is changing. That is changing. Now that we're breaking down the West Coast. And here's the other good thing that it's worth mentioning is because we are breaking down the jets on the West Coast, California is going to get more low pressures moving through before they arrive here. So they will get rain. Even the one that's arriving here for next weekend, number one, that will start actually around California. So they will get some rain, which is what they want to hear. They need that. It's been nearly 8 months for them. So when you see California getting rain, that's a sign of change coming our way. And one of the indicators that I gave out for the winter forecast, if you remember, that was a big catalyst on whether or not the winter would end up trending snow and colder than expected. Let me see if I still have that. I think I do. I can't remember if I do or not. Hold on. I think I have it in a folder. There's several factors, that go into the that I had out for the winter outlook. But there was one chart that I showed for you guys. I got so many graphics. If you guys could see my screen, I can't show you, but if you could see it, it is loaded down right now. Let's see. One of the issues, I could have sworn I had it right here in front of me. I think I'm losing my mind, guys. I really am. Sorry, I'm kind of rambling and trying to talk at the same time. Nope, I don't see it there. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll try to find it. I don't know where it went. I promise I try to find all these graphics. But one of the indicators is that Alaska, I could have just said that to you, Alaska is warmer than normal. Then that's a good sign that we're going to get a colder and a snowier winter than expected. Well, guess what? Alaska right now, especially in Anchorage, it is in the top 5 warmest ever that they've had for winters in that area. So that was a strong indicator. Not shocking, just because the idea that we've got this big drop happening here. All right, I'll stop rambling. Any more questions I can try to answer that doesn't make my brain hurt or anything? What'd you say, Tam? Oh, Lauren. Sorry, Lauren. How you doing? I feel like we're stuck in the week between Christmas and New Year's. It's like Groundhog Day every day. Very good point. Yes, it has been like Groundhog Day. As I keep saying, it feels like just one long Monday. Who got to win in the snow prediction, Olivia? Well, that's controversial. because Ryan Hoke, we had a snow event that was under 1 inch officially, but there were a lot of places that were over 1 inch, even just down the road. Even I lived near the airport, and I had over an inch, inch and a half. So Ryan technically, I think, won on that end, but the official 1 inch was a little closer to Carson. So we'll split it. We'll split it between them. They're not fighting about it, I promise. The rest of us were all like, Christmas is what we were aiming for. We weren't too far off. We were all like right there, we knew we were going to get colder, which it's always about a when do you flip, that is always tough. Hi, Danny. When it's warm in Alaska, it's usually colder on the eastern side of the lower 48. Yes, not always, but 80% of the time, that is usually how it works. And it's just because the fact that the jet is buckled up to the north leads to California being dry, Alaska being warm. So then the North Pole, the air doesn't come in from the West Coast. It just dives straight down. But when you change the storm track up and now you're getting everything coming in from Alaska and dipping down or into California, then we kind of cut off that stronger North Pole blast of Arctic air that comes in. So I am a fan. I'm okay with this. I'm a snow lover, but I don't like these brutal Arctic outbreaks. I don't think anyone really does. They're just hard on all of us, right? Hard on the infrastructure, hard on our minds, our bodies. It's just tough to deal with. So I love spring snows personally because they are heavy, they're giant flakes, and then they're gone in about 24 hours. You have a chance to go out there and play and go sledding or whatever you need to do, build a snowman, and then they're gone. Those are my favorite. The stuff we've had as of late, it may surprise you, but I'm not a fan of that. All right, let's see. Margaret, I get your question, and then I got to run here. Do you think February 6th is going to be a bad day to move? Oh boy, you're holding me to the fire there, Margaret. I don't think it's going to be a bad day to move yet, but the system number 2 will likely already be past this by the 6th of February. So you may get lucky. And if we hold on, again, you got to keep in mind, look at the big picture on this, guys, as much as you possibly can, and how one moves in, a break, one moves in, a break, and that is how it's going to be for a while. So when you plan out your calendar, look at where we have the storm system showing up in the 10-day and account for these gaps that will be in between them. So you may get lucky here, Margaret, the way it's trending, and you will likely be in one of those spaces before another one moves in. But monitor that, because if one of them's slow or just off by even 12 hours, it throws everything in a wrench, because then you affect everything down the line. And that's just how it goes with weather, but it gets very complex at that point. All right, I'll stop rambling. In fact, I'm just rambling like crazy today. I appreciate you all. Thanks for dealing with this. It's been a long week, as you guys know. But now we get ready. It's time to enjoy the weekend. Time to thaw out, relax, get outside, mow the lawn. I don't know.